What you doing, readers? I'm the AC, and I'm going to talk about a Walking Dead novel. Yes, Walking Dead Typhoon by Wesley Chu. Now, if you are familiar with any of the other Walking Dead novels, there was pretty much a whole series of them by Jay Bonasiga. Pretty much talks about how the governor came to Woodbury and then Lily Call after the governor's gone, and it goes on maybe a little longer than it needed to, but it was a really good series, and I was really excited for this one, and especially because it takes place in China, which is really interesting. Yeah, this book came out in October 2019, and I've been meaning to read it, and I finally got the book. And I'm so excited because, like I said, I love the old books, the other books, and I will go ahead and say, even though this is a great zombie book, you know, I got used to the other series style, so Wesley Chu's style is a little different from Jay Bonasiga. But that doesn't mean the book's any better. It's just a little weird change, because I think the other series had like 7, you know, a little different, weird change in writing style. But this book is about, there's a place in China called the Beacon of Light. It's the last settlement, or one of the last places in China that's safe from the zombies, which they call Jiangxi. And it follows 3 main characters. One is Zhu, who's a farmer, come from this poor farming area, looking for work in the city. Another one is named Elena. She's actually an American who's in China to teach English. And then another one, Hingyun, some military officer who's in charge of like security and all that kind of stuff. And there's one more character who is not listed as one of the 3 main ones, but his name's Spoke. He's pretty much just one of those big lovable guy type of character who, you know, just one of those big softies who it seems like they would be a fan favorite, and he was a favorite of mine. He kind of has the same kind of background as Zhu, but he's also in this same kind of team as Zhu and Elena. They work as what they call windrunners to go scavenge for supplies. And the background of the story is pretty much they go out on this run to Zhu's old town. He realizes there are people from his town or village ended up surviving and living as this whole other community away from the Beacon of Light, and they don't want to be discovered by Beacon of Light because they don't want to have to get mistreated and become like indebted to them and whatever. And then there's Hingyun, who pretty much stays at the Beacon of Light, does his own little quest as being in charge. And what is happening, they realize, is there's this huge wave of Jiangxi just coming, which they call Typhoon. And I'm not exactly sure how big it is. Apparently it's big enough to overrun the Beacon of Light. And they're trying to make a plan. It's like, do they either run, try to build somewhere else, or, you know, make a stand and try to fight them off? That's pretty much the conflict of the story. But here's the thing. Everything I pretty much just said can be found on the flaps of the book. So, yeah. And this takes up about 2/3 of the story. And it's kind of just like elaborating more on what the summary says on the flaps for about a little over 200 pages out of a 300-page book. And like, it's good and it's interesting, and there is stuff that's happening, but it really doesn't pick up and start becoming a more involved story until the last third of the book. Now, if I was to read what the flaps say and then skip to this last third, it would make perfect sense, really. I think it would. Like, it gives you enough background, but then it's like, I don't know if that's really... Is there too much information to already go off of? Because the book already kind of starts in the middle of this first run, and, you know, there's no background as to how China collapses as a society and all that. It kind of just starts like, I'm not exactly sure how far into the apocalypse, but they already have this Beacon of Light established and all these rules and these systems. So it's been a little time, and there's not as much background as I was thinking. And there's another kind of a weird thing. It doesn't seem very Chinese to me, even though it takes place in China. And it's weird to say. I don't know what I would expect from it being Chinese or being based in China. But one of the main things is the dialogue. Even though they use Chinese terms for certain things, mostly the dialogue is all in English, and it's kind of all the same style of talking among everyone. And I'm not saying like they should talk Chinese and sound like Chinese. What I did in my head while I was reading it, for this to make sense, is I imagined this book first being written in Mandarin and then being translated to English. Because to me it makes more sense if there's one American character there that knows Mandarin, other than like all the people there already know in English. And even though it is more realistic for there to be more Chinese that know English than more Americans to know Chinese languages, it's a weird thing I had to do in my head just to help make it sense a little bit. Otherwise, it is just weird that the dialogue just seems more like native English, not like a learned English, not like it's their second language. So it was a little weird. And also, there's not that much description about like the area. There's enough for the important details of what you need to know for the story, but I'm a big like advocate for getting a whole lot of background description and knowing what all the landscape is like. And especially Beacon of Light, I never really got a full understanding of how that looked like. But you know, you get the important parts that matter to the story, so I guess that's all that really matters. And another nice thing that is in the book is in the back there's a glossary, so when you do get those Chinese terms, you know what they mean. Even though if you read the book, he does a good job of, you know, using context clues to know what the terms mean, or sometimes just to find them in the book. But overall, like, I knock on it not being feeling Chinese. I don't know the author's background and all this stuff, but it was a good book overall nonetheless. But what do you think? Have you read this book yet? Have you read any of the other Walking Dead novels? They're really good. I really enjoy all of them. And even like the maybe not the most surprising of books to read, it was still really great. And I love zombies, and this book gives you plenty of it. I mean, that's what the whole plot's about. A whole bunch of zombies. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let's talk about all kinds of zombie stuff. I love zombies. If you love zombies, you just love reading books in general. I make reviews on all kinds of books. But, you know, if you like what I have to say about this, go ahead and like the video. If you want to see me talk more about all kinds of books and whatever I'm reading and all kinds of topics, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. You can see when I do all that. But until then, thank you for watching. I'm the AC, and bye.